Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of Gorilla Town take the heavyweight championship title belt by way of no contest. And the forces of Tropical House race up the mud hill in Restless Shore, becoming the new reigning rulers of the Eastern Archipelago. KOTT News were in Everfall and caught up with a frustrated participant of the heavyweight bout.
There's not really much to say, John. Just another classic double deck.
And at least now you have the rest of the night to do whatever you want to do. Do you have any plans for the rest of the evening?
Go outside, spend time with my family. You know, not the usual for the average New World player, but usual for me.
Gonna go touch some grass.
Yeah.
Moments later, KOTT were able to hustle to Moon Bay and caught up with Tropical House celebrating on the ship. Congratulations on your victory here in Restless Shore up the mud hill in about 10 minutes. Would you care to take us through any pivotal moments that got you into the fort and down the flag?
John, we just kind of held W, Zug. We out Zug their Zug at the end of the day.
That's the way it goes. I noticed that everybody has their scarves off, no longer dealing with the foul odor of the peat moss bog of Weaver's Fen. Are you enjoying the beachfront property a little better?
Yeah, John, we just we're gonna work on the boat a little bit, see what we can do around here. But yeah, we're just chilling on our boat.
Was there anybody who stood out in their performance tonight for you?
Yeah, John, actually the enemies stood out in their performance tonight. We decided to help them with an invasion, and they just decided to not, pay out some of our people. So we decided, you know what, let's just take the territory instead.
Oh, so this was a personal grudge match. Keeks, would you care to comment on that?
No, I just didn't get paid, and I was accused of getting in line again and try to steal money from them. Let me let it be known, I am a pervert. I am not a thief or a liar. That's all.
You are many things, but you are not a thief or a liar. The celebration continued a few moments longer before scouts spotted competing factions beginning to push influence. This sparked an intense amount of combat back out at the fort where all factions converged. KOTT News covered as much as possible without getting caught up in the frenzied bloodlust within the walls of the keep. We will bring you more on this ongoing conflict as the story develops. The nightcap fight lived up to the hype as Gorilla Town had to fend off outcast forces inside the fort, but in the end, managed to hold on to the mosh pit of Cutlass Keys. KOTT News spoke with an excited Victor after the war. I'm standing here with the 177th pick in the New World PvP draft, and congratulations on your victory here in Cutlass Keys, holding off the forces of Outcast who managed to get into the fort in the last 2 minutes, but no further. Would you care to take us through how the fight went in your eyes tonight?
Oh yeah, thanks for congratulating me. I'm really excited for the New World League and all the PvP that we're gonna have. For tonight, they really gave us a tough fight for the last couple of minutes. I think handled it quite well at the beginning, and for the last point, they kind of just overpowered us in our road and harassed our backlines. But overall, I think we did a really good job of containing them, especially when they have Custom and Sophia, number 1 and 5 draft pick in this roster. It's a very strong roster, and I'm very proud of my guys for holding them down.
Yes, things are going to be very exciting here in the next coming weeks, and I'm looking forward to seeing how things go and develop. And speaking of, tomorrow night will be round 2 of the draft. Anybody still on your roster who's looking forward to being picked there?
I think they should definitely pick John. It's a value pick and a really good morale booster for sure.
We're talking about John, just John?
JChalant.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not out there on the field. I would not take a slot, but I am angling for a press pass. I appreciate that. Well, back to the fight out here tonight. Was there anybody out on the battlefield who really stood out in the performance for you?
I think we all did really well. Shout out to Gorilla Town, all 50 roster, and also our whoever is not slotted, the whole company. I'm really proud of them, and they are always here to push, to win. We play to win, and I just want to give a shout out to the entire company.
In local news, there will be an upcoming dodgeball event this evening open to all citizens. Be sure to contact Rippity in recruitment chat for more details. Turning to the weather, and this afternoon looks like another beautiful day of sunshine for harvesting and crafting, but mind the 2 invasions projected to hit the island in Brightwood and Reekwater later on tonight. No submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by The Draft, as citizens across Eternum focus their attention elsewhere, but we'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as all great houses took an evening of rest without need to defend. KOTT news crews took advantage of the downtime to cover the evening's dodgeball event, starting with sign-ups and first light and a light warm-up jog to the official location. The stakes were high and the action was intense as participants opted for gladiator rules in the early rounds, where taking a spear or lance to the eye could result in some serious headaches. In the end, another successful community event hosted by Rippity, sure to beat the heat of the summer doldrums. Speaking of community events, Day 2 of the first annual New World PvP League draft took place last night, completing the rosters for the inaugural season event. KOTT News are in talks to acquire a press pass and hopefully bring you more on this story as it develops. All this talk of simulated fantasy combat got the blood flowing for OPRs last night, as KOTT News crews kicked off the dust and did their best to represent the Fire Staff Union. Turning to the weather, and after another successful night defending the hamlets, crafters will have nothing but sunshine all day long. But look out after sundown as the corruption forces regroup and march out across 30% of the island once more. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it is cardboard. Tonight, the Covenant converts of OPR Esports attack the syndicate members of K is for Kitchen for control of the rain-drenched mountain region of Morningdale. OPR Esports set up their assault camp and make ready their game plan for reclaiming this Covenant Holy Land abutting the northern Death Wall. But K is for Kitchen has been maintaining the forward observation posts, heightening corruption invasion awareness, so they're not losing out on such a critical alert system. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as the forces of L is for Last Pick managed to maintain their hold on the rain-drenched mountain region of Morningdale. KOTT News were on the scene at City Hall and spoke with company leadership after the fight. Congratulations on your victory here in Morningdale, once again holding on to the region up in the northern forward observation post. OPR Esports able to get into the gate, got the flag down to 25% on one push, and then that last push almost to 50%, but the time ran out on them. How do you feel about it out there tonight?
Honestly, I feel like that was a pretty good war. It was really competitive, and I had a lot of fun out there today. It was really good.
Yeah, I noticed that you had to yield Alpha, Bravo, and then all the way down to River kind of gave up early. Choke management was pretty pivotal for you guys tonight. Was there anybody who really stood out in their performance for you?
I'll say just their whole team in general. It was a really fun war. I haven't had a fun war like that in a while, to be honest, so it was really fun to have that.
Are you looking forward to maybe possibly having them running back?
Oh, yeah, 100%. That's the kind of content we need here.
Civic matter to ask you about. Any other members of your squad going to be preoccupied pulling double duty in this weekend's New World League?
Probably, most likely, a good amount of them.
Hell yeah. Yo, Fresh Bench on top, baby. Yo, shout out to Check, Uzis, Circu. All the boys got drafted. We got Zarita. Mommy Zarita got drafted. You know the vibes, man. Fresh Bench on top, baby. Yeah, it was a good work, good work. Very competitive.
Yo, John, I want to shout out some people real quick when you're done.
Yeah, shout out, man.
Yeah, shout out Sir Q.
Yeah, shout out Sir Q, shout out Jawa, shout out Mustard Nugget over there. She did an amazing job healing the kill squad. And,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
She kept them alive, and that's how we won.
Short on time and heavy on civic responsibility, KOTT news crews reported to First Light to assist in holding off the corrupted invasion forces last night. Once again, Invasion Response Squad leadership were able to issue instructions even I could follow to contribute to another successful defense of the citizenry. Afterwards, KOTT News crews returned to OPRs to freshen up their combat knowledge in preparation for the upcoming inaugural season of New World PvP League. Looking at the weather for today, and even though it's going to be a beautiful afternoon of sunshine for travel and harvesting all day, extreme northern cold fronts will cause an abundance of corruption invasion forces to manifest across 40% of the island later tonight. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Marauders of Dogged Down assail the syndicate members of Commit for control of the master fishing port town of Reekwater. Turned away from the peat moss bog to the north, Dogged Down refocused their attention on this swamp delta of Reekwater, potentially seeking extreme conditions in which to train. But it was the great house of Commit that turned them away in the bog, so their confidence is high that they'll turn them away here as well. Later, the syndicate members of PK Warband assault the Marauders of Gorilla Town for control of the crocodile-infested marshes of Cutlass Keys. A last-minute submission by this group of newcomers striking at the secondary oil reserves of the island in order to finance their ambitions for future expansion. But Gorilla Town isn't exactly a starter company to go up against as a first fight. So if these newcomers don't come up with a well-coordinated assault strategy, they may not get very close to the fort. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the Marauders of Dogged Down ransack the master fishing port town of Reekwater. KOTT News were able to secure a brief interview with the battle's shot caller. Congratulations on your victory here in Reekwater over the syndicate members of Commit, whom I understand you wanted to say a few words about before we begin.
They came out and they gave us a good challenge. You some superstars out there like Devo, like a bunch of like West Coast legends were on the other side. I saw Wonton was out there doing his specialty. He had some really good players on the other side, but really I gave my team a nice pump up speech. This is my debut. I don't want them coming out lackluster. I want them coming out with something to prove. And I think that last war, those Commit guys, they kind of beat the crap out of the Dog Down guys. So me coming in to be able to bring a little leadership to the table, help these guys just get some direction, bring that energy and spice that we all need. I think that was enough to get us the dub. And shout out the soldiers. They listen to every single call I make. I'll call for an army like that any day of the week.
Well, you brought something up, and I would like to agree. There was a lot of focus in that fight, a lot of key points I'd like to bring up. At the about 20 minutes remaining point, you got into fort phase and very methodically moved through horns before going through the gates. Would you care to remind everybody how important that is?
Yeah, man, you can't fight a war without going through the steps of war, right? You cap the points. Once you cap the points, you got to get all gates and horns down. That's the standard. Once you get gates and horns down, you can finally start working some things like getting repair shops down on the inside, start setting up presents, start getting big wipes. But really, it all starts down with the gates and horns, and the army was able to clean that up fairly quickly.
Indeed, and with that opportunity, at about 15 minutes remaining, you were able to get through and get the flag down to about 90, maybe 95%. What was the holdup there? What kept you from pushing it through at that moment?
I will say simply a commit cause, right? Right at that 97, 98% tick. I saw a few of our healers off the point in dirt. I think I saw somebody up on the ramparts. And when it comes down to that close of a tick, at any second your team can get wiped and throw that tick off. When it comes down to that close of a tick, you really need every player, including healers, to full send it in, stick there, riposte out, do anything to get that extra second of living. And really, if we just had those final three people step point, I think that's an earlier win. But, what it came down to is later on they step point and we got the win.
You certainly did, because you were able to call a regroup. I've never seen a more organized regroup in such a chaotic fight. At about 10 minutes left, you pushed in. It was all over. Nice control of stage, nice control of hill. Was there anybody out there on a battlefield that you might want to give additional credit to tonight? Anybody stand out for you?
Yeah, man, the GOAT himself, the West Coast GOAT Whirlwhip. I mean, that guy is going to be a challenge to deal with in the upcoming New World League. That dude, I just see his name on my screen at all times. He's always doing the right thing. He's always causing so much disruption around the point and on the point. And I'm going to be honest, without Whirlwhip, I don't know if we get that win. I saw him involved in so many pivotal wipes, so many good point control plays from Whirlwhip and his group. The B-Gate gamers knew when to push in, knew when to regroup. They listened for my regroup call. We got big wipes on the left side. They crashed B point. Whirlwhip led to charge. You could see he was the only one on the inside at that point in time, causing all that pressure. Without Whirlwhip, I don't know if the dog down guys get the win, but it certainly helped, right?
All right, my friend. Well, I know you got a lot of things on your plate tonight. You're going to be a very busy person over the next few days, so I'm going to let you go. Do please stay in touch. I look forward to the next few weeks for sure. And for you tonight, for winning here in Reekwater, your first celebratory trophy. Later in Cutlass, KOTT News caught up with one of the victors to go over their reactions to their fort hold. Congratulations on your victory here in Cutlass Keys, successfully defending the fort. However, they were able to get into Fort Phase. Would you care to take us through any pivotal moments you saw out there?
It was pretty fun. You know, there's lots of different strats out there that we started using halfway through the war, as it was a very different war than we were used to, I would say. Very fun, though. Lots of haste pots, different sceneries, you know. But in the end, they did get the fort. They did trick us, I will say that. So it was a good play on them. They got the points when we were off on the beaches.
While in Spyglass Ridge, a rare opportunity to speak with the opposing locker room prior to VOD review. So you were able to get into fort. You even pushed them to about 60% tick before they were able to drop down and get you off of there. But how did you feel about your experience?
Yeah, it was a close one. Oh, it was fun, man. It was our first war, so we were definitely going into it just to have fun, but we got close. That was pretty good.
And do you feel you learned a lot from that experience? Be able to take it into the next one?
Yeah, definitely, man. I think I can contribute a lot more next time.
Well, if I know it can be kind of depressing to be on the other side of things, but is there anything else you might like to share to the citizens of Eternum?
PK till I die.
Turning to our wrap-up of the Season 1 experience, and a little over a week left for members of the community to complete the event, KOTT News crews were able to complete their first season journey experience and acquire a nice outfit for our troubles. Last night's invasion response squad stopped all 4 invasion attempts, making for another afternoon of high-quality crafting for all you daywalkers out there. So if you're thinking of volunteering to assist later on tonight, be on the lookout for a 20% chance of corruption invasion once more across the island. 2 lineup submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the syndicate members of JDB's Kitchen challenge the champs of Gorilla Town for their heavyweight title and the right to rule over Everfall. In the purple corner, the former heavyweight champs return to the ring and seek to reclaim the title belt once more and re-secure the central corridor of the island. JDB's Kitchen. In the green corner, systematically expanding their holdings across the southern peninsula, your current, reigning, undisputed heavyweight champions of Eternum, Gorilla Town! Meanwhile, the syndicate members of N is for Not Drafted assail the Covenant PVXers of Tropical House for control of the always contentious Restless Shore. Descending from their staging ground in Morningdale, N is for Not Drafted strike at their neighbor to the south in order to show League officials what they missed out on. But Tropical House have only just got to the beach, and they're not ready to give it up just yet. So they're standing atop the mud hill, awaiting the anarchy of the archipelago. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of N is for Not Drafted climb the mud hill and take control of the Restless Shore. And the syndicate members of JDB's Kitchen reclaim the heavyweight championship title by way of knockout late in the second round. KOTT News were on the scene and spoke with the new, undisputed champions of Eternum. Congratulations on your victory here in Everfall over in about 15 minutes. It took you about 8 minutes to get into the fort, and then about the 13-minute mark, you were able to get in through the back door, secure stage, and from there drop down onto the flag and control it to the very end. How would you describe your victory tonight?
Well, John, it was quite the dogfight, actually. They got some good bruises on the other side, so there was a good back and forth. Collected our first push in, so it was kind of well contested. And we eventually locked it down and got it going.
Indeed. Was there anybody who stood out in their performance for you tonight? I noticed you had some additional help from some friends from afar.
I think Jay Perry's shot calling tonight was exceptional. Thank you for the slot, Jay Perry.
Well, now that you control the central corridor, do you have any additional plans or ambitions to expand?
With the New World League, things are kind of getting spicy there, so we might take a break, do some invasions. You know what it is, never fall.
That was my follow-up. With so many members of your roster being tied up with the New World League coming up in the next weekend for the following 8 weeks, I believe, will you be able to preserve your hold on Neverfall?
We're going to try our best. I think there's a bit of a return to normalcy on the map, so people aren't pushing mad and trying to double deck everyone, so I think, yeah, we'll be able to do it just fine. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood.
Moments later in Moon Bay, KOTT News caught up with one of the victorious participants and got their perspective on the fight. Congratulations on your victory here in Restless Shore, managing to get up the mud hill in about 15 minutes. Would you care to take us through any pivotal moments in your fight against Tropical House tonight?
I just want to talk about my point of view, John. I went to A by myself. Bow, shoot, horn.
That was it? All right, so straight in through the doors and nothing more, huh? Right onto the flag, a little bit of pushback at all?
Once we got into forward, they gave us a little bit of pushback. We were like 85%, I want to say. They took it down a little bit, but then a little bit after that, we took it.
Is there anybody whose efforts you might like to highlight tonight, or were you unable to see anybody on your solo adventures?
When I shout out Sir Cute, that's our Bis bow shot caller. I want to give him a shout out. It's Bis.
Quickly to the weather, and another afternoon of peaceful crafting thanks to the diligent efforts of the Invasion Response Squad last night. So if you've been thinking of contributing to the invasion defense efforts, you'll have another chance tonight when corruption forces rise up across 30% of the island. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Covenant converts of Hideout assault the Syndicate members of Commit for control of the island's primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fen. Hideout returned to the Peat Moss Bog to try another attempt at securing the resources necessary to fund their holy crusade across the island. But will they achieve great success this time? Commit's hold on the swamplands mean they also control travel and trade to the eastern edges of the island. But will they be able to hold on to the critical logistical region tonight? We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the forces of Commit maintain control of the primary oil reserves in Weaver's Fen. KOTT News crew spoke with company leadership about the battle after their victory. Congratulations on your victory here in Weaver Fen, once again controlling the Peat Moss Bog all to yourselves. You were able to hold them outside of fort for a good 17 minutes, but they did get down. But through diligent choke management, you hold out. 9 minutes in, they pushed, you push back. 6 minutes in, they push, you push back. 3 minutes in, they push, you push back. And in the final minutes, they push, but ran out of time. Would you take us through how you're feeling about it right now?
Obviously, John, it feels really good. It's always really good to have a really even and fun war. Want to give a shout out to the Hideouts boys. Love them. But it was an absolutely fantastic war. A little bit, honestly, I think of a shot caller diff. I think Schmeck absolutely killed it out there. Made Franklin Lucas look a little silly, but, you know, it is what it is.
Oh, shots fired. Franklin Lucas, I happen to know, is a pretty good shot caller, my friend. I'm looking forward to see what happens between the two of them over the next coming weeks. Was there anybody else on your team that might have stood out in their performance tonight?
Honestly, the entire army did fantastic. Again, I do want to give a shout out to Schmeck for stepping in, doing a fantastic job on the shot calling. But the entire army played fantastic today. Really locked it in after our loss in Reekwater.
Take that loss and turn it into a victory, learning what you need to learn and correcting your strategy for the remainder of the fights. Well, now that you continue to hold on to this central trade hub for the Eastern Corridor, what are your intentions for the hamlet and indeed the region?
Honestly, we're the swamp people. We're really trying to reclaim our second home in Reekwater, trying to make sure that we can stay the swamp people and keep everyone out of our swamp.
KOTT News would like to remind its subscribers and those who are about to be that the Season 1 Fellowship and Fire Pass will expire soon. Be sure to get as many bingos as you can and complete the journey if you have not yet done so. Turning to the weather for today, and once more the sun will continue to circle in Eternum that has been protected overnight by the Invasion Response Squad. But coastal storms along the eastern shores will break inland and bring with them an uprising of corruption invasion forces tonight across 30% of the island. 3 roster submissions for simulated fantasy combat resolution tonight. Brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. First up, the Covenant converts of OPR Esports ascend upon the syndicate members of O is for OPR for control of the northern observation posts of Morningdale. OPR Esports must have liked what they saw in the matchup 4 days ago to return and try again so soon tonight, attempting to resecure their Holy Land, abutting the northern Death Wall. But once more the Syndicate will fight to preserve the integrity of the observation posts, serving not only as long-range intel beyond the Death Wall, but also as early alert against invading corruption forces. Meanwhile, the Marauders of Dogged Down attack the legendary hero worshippers of Outcast for control of the arid desert region of Brimstone Sands. Fresh off their victory in Reekwater, the forces of Dogged Down seek to dry out the dampness in their gear scuffing around in the desert, and maybe, if they're lucky, taking a fresh bath afterwards. But the outcast legendary nomadic sun worshippers observed marauding armies crossing their landholdings in Ebonscale, so have prepared their armies for a double envelopment defense. Then, the zealots of Bloodgo Flu assault the marauders of Gorilla Town for Crown and Kingdom of the Western Monarch's Bluff. Nothing is known about this group of newcomers to the island, but with patents of nobility in hand, they march out to the bluff to assert their claim on the monarchy. But the forces of Gorilla Town do not take their defensive efforts lightly and will maximize their training against any force that opposes them, known or not. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as all 3 great houses hold the line, retaining their respective regions for yet another day. KOTT News were on the scene all night, starting in Morningdale, where they couldn't wait to get back on tour. Congratulations on your hold here in Morningdale, fending them off with a single hold outside of the fort. Would you care to take us through any pivotal moments that you saw out there tonight?
I just want to shout out to my bow squad. If it wasn't for us, it would have been lost in the mist. Mr. Cute, Dennis, DTF, and the boy Crank.
Right away, giving the shout-outs to the people who you felt most responsible for your hold. I'm liking that. Well,
Yeah.
what was going on out there that put you in a position to succeed tonight?
All of us bow boys, the deck squad, we held it down, called out a single target, whoever we called out got melted instantly. So I think we did a good job today.
Do you think they're going to try to run it back against you again in the future? This is the second time now they've come up against you, correct?
Yes, second time, but this time didn't have as much help as last time, so it wasn't as successful, I guess. But yeah, hopefully they push it back. It was, I want to see a competitive war out of them.
Let's talk about the other thing that we need to talk about. This drip is amazing. Could you take us through your decision-making on this?
Yeah, I want to shout out possibly a Smurf. He put me on this drip. It's a Rippy. I'll let everyone know what it is. It's a Legion sand hood, a linen shirt, the XIX signifier skirt, and trapper boots. All it is. That simple.
So if anybody wants to try to emulate that, they can pull it off the rack and add the colors, right?
Yep, add any color you want.
Too much fun in Greyvale meant I nearly missed an opportunity in New Corsica, but Outcast leadership were still available to speak and spared a moment of their time. Congratulations on your victory here in Brimstone, fighting outside on Charlie Point for a good 20 minutes, but keeping them outside of the fort. Would you care to take us through any moments that stood out in your eyes out there tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I just gotta hand it to Panda. I mean, there's no one like him. That is the reason we win every war. So we start off strong. We 50 man, they're 50 man at B, and Panda killed everyone. And I just sat back and shot called the rest and told Panda who to kill, and he did it. So it's pretty plain and simple.
Yeah, I was able to hear the communication between the two of you through the camera angle I had tonight, and it was a pretty solid fight. Good rotation around the objective out there, controlling a lot of oppo bond and going into bond when you needed to. Was there anybody in particular that might have helped out in your efforts tonight?
No, I mean, I can't say in particularly. I think it's just a one-man army. I mean, Outcast is literally Panda, so we might as well call it Panda Cast and call it a day.
Well, I guess that gives away your strategy to other teams. If they want to ever have a chance, they really need to focus in on what they're going to do about Panda, right?
That's right. And he's invincible, so there's no chance.
Breaking news from distant shores as stability tests resulted in a decision to patch. These issues, coupled with a desire for additional team practice, have delayed the Season 1 starting horns by 1 week. KOTT News would like to remind its subscribers and those who are about to be that the Season 1 Fellowship and Fire Season Pass ends soon, so wrap up what you can while you can. Like Invasion Response Squad regular Lady Meowzilla, who was diligently putting down corruption in First Light well into dawn this morning. While the citizens slept, she kept putting down corruption portals, increasing her standing towards Mythic in the local community. Turning to the weather once more, and it looks like the sun will rise and shine across the Eternum sky line all afternoon once more. But look out after sundown when the temperatures drop and the emboldened corruption forces rise up across 30% of the island. 2 more submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Syndicate members of Commit assail the Marauders of Dogged Down for control of the Master Fishing Delta of Reekwater. Commit forces executing their right to rematch return to the lower wetland in the early evening to attempt to secure their title as Swamp People. But Dogged Down have shown an ability to perform in an organized effort in their warring methodology and feel confident in their ability to continue doing so. Later, the Syndicate members of PK Warband assault the Marauders of Gorilla Town for control of the secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. PK Warband revisit the mosh pit to test themselves against the marauding powerhouse of Gorilla Town once more. But will they be able to get over that final hump this time? Gorilla Town were able to hold out last time, keeping the Syndicate from capturing the flag with a timely detonation on defense. But will their adjustments keep them out of the fort this time? Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.